Okay, I provided this worksheet for you guys to print. So hopefully if you have a printer, you're able to print this out. Go ahead and do that so you don't have to draw all these triangles and diagrams. If you don't have a printer, then you can just pause it and draw these out. Okay, for the second part of law of sines, these are the notes. Okay, we're gonna have to review these first two parts here on finding angle measures. How do you find the angle? Okay, because we're gonna need that when we do the second part of law of sines. So here's number one. All right, so zooming into number one here. So you don't have the angle measure, but you know two sides of a right triangle. Okay, what you're gonna do is, again, since it's a right triangle, you're going to label the sides. They're the two sides that are given. I have the opposite side. This is the hypotenuse, but I'm not using it, and the adjacent side. So then you're going to figure out which trig function it is that you need to find. So that's going to be so, ka, or toa. Well, I'm using the opposite and the adjacent side, so that has to be tangent, right? O and A. So that would be tangent of the angle is equal to opposite over adjacent. And again, before you used to know the angle measure and there was a missing side here. But now it's the angle measure that you're looking for, right? So that would be tangent of, I don't know, the angle is equal to 4 over 9. And then here's where we have to remember for when you're trying to find the angle measure here, that's when you use these inverse function keys. See, this is tangent. The little one in yellow is the inverse key. Cosine, cosine inverse, sine, sine inverse. That's when you use these inverse keys. So essentially what happens is you can't divide by tangent because tangent is not a number, it's a function. So just to show you what's actually happening, in order to get the degree by itself, you do the inverse of it to both sides. So you do the inverse of both sides, and that would be, that's how this cancels out. So you do tangent inverse of this side. It's almost like dividing, but it doesn't work that way for functions. If this is the function, the inverse cancels it out. So when you took the inverse of this side and then you take the inverse of this side, sorry, let me write it right here. You pretty much take the inverse of both sides. And again, that's just to cancel the tangent. And you're left with the angle by itself. So that's how it's used. These will cancel out. Tangent and its inverses cancel out. And this is why we have the angle left over. The angle is equal to that tan inverse of 4 over 9. And then you just got to do this in the calculator. You just do this in the calculator. The measure of the angle is going to be, you have to use this inverse of 4 over 9, the tangent inverse of 4 over 9. So we go to our calculator here. And we do, again, it's in yellow, so I got to use the yellow function. Second function, tangent, tan inverse with the -1 exponent. 4 divided by 9, close it, equals 23.96. 23.96, so we're just going to bump it up to 24 because it's an angle. It's close enough, right? And you check the answers, it'll say 24. You round it up, right? All right, let's try another one. So essentially at this point, since you can't divide by tangent inverse, I'm sorry, but you can't divide by tangent. You just know that in order to get the degree by itself, you just do the inverse of this side. I was just showing you the steps. I won't show you on the next one, but that's how you do it. Okay, another real quick one for this first video. Label the sides. This is the right. It's a right triangle. This is hypotenuse. This is opposite, and this is adjacent. So we're using the A and the H. That's ka, right? A and H, cosine. So we're using cosine of the angle is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse, which is going to be cosine of the angle is equal to 5 over 13. And then, like I said here, you can't divide by cosine. So you pretty much take the cosine, the inverse of both sides. And long story short, you just get the angle by itself is equal to cosine inverse of 5 over 13. Right? Since you can't divide by cosine, you take the inverse of both sides, or just when it goes to this side, it's just the inverse. Remember that, because you want to get the angle measured by itself. Okay? And then the rest is calculator work. So that's, let's try that here. Second function, cosine inverse of 5 divided by 13. I get 67.38. Okay. So that one's not too close. We'll leave it at 67.4. Okay, we're going to be using this for this part here, where you're left with trying to find, even though you're not working with right triangles, it's just this part that I wanted you to review. If you're trying to find the angle measure and you have a number here, how do you do it? And this is the way you do it, like this, okay? All right. The second video, we'll see how you are using this for law of sines.